Hello, lovely people. How are you all doing? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing fine. If this is your first time here, you're welcome. If you keep coming back, you're much appreciated. Thanks a lot for clicking on this video. My name is Untitled and I am a teens coach. In this video, we're going to be talking about mental health. Let's get right into the video. Year 2020. Wow, it has been a wonderful year. Very true. It started with the whole pandemic and several other things have happened in several parts of the world. From the pandemic to protests, to fights, to wars, to several things happening. The series of events that has taken place in this year has definitely had an impact on us. But one thing is key. We need to ensure that our mental health is in check. So according to Wikipedia, mental health is the state of someone who is functioning at a satisfactory level of emotional and behavioral adjustment. A mental health doctor that I met once said that there's just a thin line between mental health and mental illness. Have you ever been in that situation where you are thinking about yourself and the events that you have been through and you're wondering, how did I get here? How did I let myself go this far? What are we doing here? How did we get to this point? Thoughts leading to thoughts, imaginations leading to imaginations, and before you know it, in the midst of all of this, you are seeing yourself leave yourself. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. But if you've been through situations in life, the loss of a loved one, a broken relationship, great loss of property, loss of business, you've been raped, any traumatic situation at all, you get to that point where you're just thinking, you can't even utter a word, you are just wondering, how did I get here? We get to that point where we keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. The kind of things you can shoulder differ from what somebody else can shoulder. So if somebody is saying the person has gone through something traumatic, you hearing it might not sound like something traumatic, but you are not the judge of what trauma is to somebody else. If you've been in a place where somebody suddenly begin to lose their senses, you will understand better, because this person was very well and okay, but suddenly something changed. But this person has been shouldering much more than the person can bear, or have been hit with much more than the person can take in, and the person has just snapped. The same with our children. Now you're going through it, or that the things that seem to be happening in the world right now seem to be more of a grown-up's issue than it is a child's issue. But whether we like it or not, the children are also affected, and they know. The child might not fully comprehend, but the child knows. So that adults are panicking, children are also wondering what is going on. And I would love us to take note that this doesn't only have to do with the protest, this doesn't only have to do with the pandemic, this has to do with any situation at all. A broken relationship, mother devastated, father devastated, how did we get here? Your children are also devastated. Yes, it has to do with you, the parents, it is your fight, but the children are affected whether we like it or not. So the children also go through things, and it is essential that while we are grieving, while we are mourning, or while we are going through the things that we go through that might be traumatic to us, if we could spare a little moment to think about our children, it will go a long way. So I was lucky enough to find this particular slides that I'm going to be showing us, and I'll be talking briefly on them, but I was lucky enough to find out that somebody has actually drafted out the things that I would love to cover in this video, and even more. So we'll just be going through the slides that have been drafted, and we'll be learning the things that we want to learn. So it's talked about the children being scared, being confused, being worried. As long as there is a shift in the norm that they know, it will trigger something in them. They will be asking questions, what's going on? And then where there is nobody to answer those questions, they fill it up with the things that they are seeing or the things that they have heard. Even if it's a breakup, you've not sat your children down to tell them, okay, mommy and daddy are having issues and that kind of stuff, giving them the talk. the children will fill it up with the things that they have seen and the things that they have heard. So talking to your child about the protest or about any event at all is necessary. Yeah, we might think that our children are very little, but I would love to emphasize, give them bite sizes. No matter how little our children are, as long as they can see, they can hear, they can speak, it is necessary that we talk to our children about it. But let's try to give them bite size, just enough that they can comprehend. Yes, these slides, thanks to kidsniger.com, these slides are centered around the protests that happen in Nigeria, the End SARS protest, but it goes beyond it. We're going to be trying to make it all-encompassing so that it is not just about a protest. It's about any traumatic situation, anything at all happening around our children. So the first thing says, consider your child's age and level of maturity. Your approach and explanation depends on this. We say this all the time. So it is about how mature your child is. Give your child bite size. Then protect your younger children, especially those below 5, from scary conversations about the situation. So whatever the situation is, protect your children. Then help them to understand why it is important for them to stand up for what is right. Don't let them watch gory videos circulating around. Always reassure your children that they are safe. So that was like a basic overview. So now for kids below 5, remember we said this goes beyond police brutality and the protests happening. This has to do with any traumatic situation that you will be facing as an adult, and your children are involved in it also. So for kids age 5 and below, if they ask a question about the topic, then you might want to know just how much they have heard first. But me, I would love to say you should ask them first. It's more like being proactive. Instead of sitting down and waiting for your child to come to you to ask you, Mom, are you and Dad having a fight? You should address the situation first, So let's know what they know, then we can feed them appropriate bite sizes just for their age, for their level of maturity. Acknowledge and validate their feelings. Don't ignore how they feel. Share yours as well. Children feel safer. They feel better when they know that, somebody else goes through what I am going through, or somebody else feels the same way that I feel. Educate them on why what is happening is happening. So don't just sit back there and say, this one's, what do they know? This one, you don't know anything. You are clueless about what is happening in the world. Yes, they are clueless. They are children, so they should be clueless. But it's our duty to educate them. Then for kids that are age 6 to 10, you start by asking what they know, whatever the age is. You listen, you acknowledge their feelings, then you explain what's going on. You talk about the need to stand up against unfair, unjust acts and why it must be done peacefully. True. So no matter the situation, no matter what it is, be able to speak to your children about situations from an unbiased point of view. I'm saying this because in a situation that has to do with divorce, there's the word divorce or divorce, you find out that we're trying to feed them from an emotional point of view so that they are beginning to see the other party in another light. Remember, the battle is between you and your spouse. Dragging your children into it is not the right way to go. So do not project your anger or fear in your child. You might be asking, why have this talk? Why do you want me to have this talk? My child looks okay, my child looks fine. If you do not have this talk, you do not know what your child knows. You do not know if your child is afraid and what your child is afraid of. Until you have this talk, then you are aware of what your child knows and then the way to proceed. So don't think because your child is acting normally, everything is fine. What your child is bottling up can be eating your child inside. So it's better we spill it all out and have it all in the open, and then we re-ingest healthier things and content. Then lastly, it is an educating topic that provides an opportunity to address other issues such as anger and violence. Never see things that are happening and then you use your eyes from the way you look at your child. You're like, this one is fine. You'll be wondering, why will I tell my child, go get something from the room, and your child is so scared. Because your child might have heard gunshots. Your child might have heard something that is making that child afraid. So it is time for you to dig and find a root cause. True, children are generally afraid of the dark. I totally agree. But when that child is exhibiting something that is more than just the dark, it's time for you to sit your child down and ask questions. It might be rape. That child might have been molested. It can be anything. And where did it happen? In the dark. So now your child is afraid of the dark. So can you see how one thing leads to another? So it can be anything at all. Don't write it off and say this one is just a child, this person knows nothing. Mental health is something we shouldn't joke with. The way you see it affect adults, it also affects children. They might exhibit it in different ways, but it is necessary that we pay attention to signs, pay attention to symptoms. If you've watched this to this point, thank you very much. You just might consider subscribing to our channel and give this video a big fat thumbs up for me if you haven't done so already. I'm going to be seeing you all in the next one. Bye-bye.